Chapter 531, 20 million military merits. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. The defensive power of the creature with the human head and dragon's body was very powerful. Only the outer crimson scales were needed to block the attack from a 10th level genuine martial arm. However, they knew very clearly that the sword Zhang Yuochen held in his hands had surpassed genuine martial arms to become a holy weapon. Once the strike landed, it would cut through their defenses in an instant. Swoosh! The sword flashed and came down quickly. The creature with the human head and dragon's body abruptly flipped over. A powerful wave of crimson strength exploded from its body like a fire cloud, sending Zhang Yuochen flying backward. Zhang Yuochen flew backward and crashed into the stone wall with a boom, forming a human-shaped dent. Landing on the ground again, Zhang Yuochen stretched his neck and focused his gaze on the creature and said, "No wonder this is the king of the red cloud pythons. Even though it's been struck through the head by the ancient abyss sword, it still has such powerful battle strength." The creature retreated very far away. Its body wriggled and it raised two giant sharp claws in a defensive posture. It slowly lifted its bloody head, which looked very much like that of a human elder. In a deep and resentful voice, it said, "The true lord of flood dragons is 100 times stronger than me. With a breath of air, he could turn you into a skeleton. I am only a military commander below a black skeleton dragon. Even though my strength is far below that of the Lord of Flood Dragons, it is plenty to deal with you." Strands of red dragon chi welled out of the creature's body, surged toward its head, and went into its wound. The half of its head that had been shattered grew new flesh and slowly began to heal. Zhang Yuochen could not let it recover from the injury. His eyes focused on the injury and he picked up the ancient abyss sword again in preparation to continue attacking. A long sword light shot out from the tip of the sword and countless streaks of sword chi came out, flying around the rock cave. Zhang Yuochen stood in the center of the illusory images of the sword chi like a sword saint who controlled tens of thousands of flying swords. "Wait." The eyes of the creature turned and it asked, "Extraterritorial human, can you tell me what kind of treasure is that scroll? Why can you hide in it?" Zhang Yuochen smiled and said, "The red cloud python must indeed be very intelligent. You are trying to stall for time. However, it is a pity that this trick of yours will not work on me at all." "Wait." The creature immediately spoke again. "Perhaps you want to know where the Xuanwu inheritance is?" Zhang Yuochen paused slightly, and he looked closely into its eyes. The creature cheered in its heart and thought to itself, "The extraterritorial human is indeed looking for the Xuanwu inheritance. Very good. Since he is so interested, I will tell him about a few ancient and dangerous areas. As long as I can hold him off for just a moment, I will be able to crush with him a single claw once I've recovered a little strength." The creature hurriedly said, "I have lived in Xixuan for thousands of years. I know the secret places better than anyone. Right now, I will tell you about some of the secret places." "There's no need. I know I will be able to find it myself." The creature started slightly. Before it had a chance to react, Zhang Yuochen had already teleported with his space-moving technique and crossed dozens of meters to appear near the creature's abdomen area. Swoosh! He hovered in the water and the heart of the sword between his brows lit up. Waves of sword technique power gathered in the fingers of his right hand, and he struck out with his sword. Streak after streak of sword chi also flew out. Crash! Crash! The ancient abyss sword pierced through the dragon's armor and left long sword marks. Large amounts of blood surged out of the creature's body. Earlier, given the creature's cultivation, even if Zhang Yuochen had used space moving, he still would not have been able to hurt it. However, Zhang Yuochen's earlier strike had not just pierced through its left eye, but it had also damaged the crown of its head. The creature's strength had already descended so low that it was unable to dodge Zhang Yuochen's strike. The creature gave an angry roar and spat out a mouthful of purple thunderbolts. Dozens of streaks of lightning that were as thick as a bowl and as sharp as the edge of a knife. They all flew toward Zhang Yuochen. Swoosh! Zhang Yuochen once again teleported using space moving. He passed through the lightning and appeared at the creature's head. Swift and neat. The time mark melded into the sword technique. Zhang Yuochen activated his genuine chi and it moved quickly through his entire body. His sword flashed out quickly and chopped down again on the crown of the creature's head. The strike sent him flying 10 meters up. A voice rang out from inside the yin-yang wooden graph. Wow! Good strike! Blackie charged out of the scroll. Dissolving into a shadow, he stretched out two claws and quickly scooped up the giant fleshy crown. Immediately after, he rushed back into the scroll. Swoosh! With the crown of the creature sliced off, a long column of blood sprouted out from the creature's head. It turned the entire cave red. The creature was in unbearable pain, and it went completely crazy. Striking out with one claw, it broke through the cave wall. Boom! The entire mountain below the water shook. Then, it quickly imploded into a pool of muddy water. Countless giant rocks flew out from the muddy water in all directions like rays. What happened? Why are there such powerful fluctuations? The red cloud pythons at the bottom of the water were all disturbed, and they charged out of their own lairs to gather around the boundary of the mountain. Roar! In the muddy water, an ear-splitting roar rang out. The roar turned into a sound wave and charged out, sending all the red cloud pythons flying into the air. The bottom of the ocean shook, and a giant dragon shadow flew out from under the collapsed mountain and charged toward the surface of the water. A closer look would reveal a young human man standing on the neck of the dragon shadow. In his hand, he held a thick metal chain that was tied to the dragon's neck. The surface of the metal chain discharged powerful lightning fire that continuously struck against the huge flood dragon's body. Boom! The creature charged out of the water, creating a wave as it flew into the layers of clouds. Jiang Yuochen held on tightly to the dragon lock chain, riding the creature endlessly up into the sky and the clouds. They moved further and further away from the surface of the ocean as if they were going to rush into the boundless universe. The creature's speed was so fast that the wind blew like cold knives. It numbed Jiang Yuochen's face and hands as it sliced by. Swoosh! Jiang Yuochen put two fingers together and formed a sword skill as he controlled the ancient abyss sword with the heart of the sword. The blade flew in the void space behind the giant flood dragon. Suddenly, the tip of the sword changed directions and pierced the creature's back. Its tail curled up and struck out with force, sending the ancient abyss sword flying away. The creature struggled desperately, at times charging into the clouds, at times dropping into the ocean, and at times crashing into an island. Before long, it had dragged Jiang Yuochen over 1,000 kilometers away. No matter how much it struggled, it could not shake off Jiang Yuochen or the dragon lock chain. No wonder it is a flood dragon tribe commander at the 6th change of the fish dragon realm. Even though it has suffered such heavy injuries, it is still able to demonstrate such terrifying power. Jiang Yuochen activated the ancient abyss sword as well as the 6 golden holy swords and formed a sword flow, continuously stabbing the creature. Pfffff. Each time a sword flew out, it would leave a bloody hole in the creature's body. After only a moment, its body was riddled with hundreds of holes. Its injuries became even more serious. The creature flew another 200 kilometers but, finally, it gave a painful, sorrowful cry. Its entire body went limp, and it fell down from hundreds of meters up in the sky. It landed in the ocean and sent up a great wave. Jiang Yuochen still held onto the dragon lock chain. Standing on its body, he yanked his arm and pulled the chain, as thick as a bowl, back onto his wrist with a swish. It has finally ended. I've obtained 400,000 military merits. Jiang Yuochen moved his numbed finger and finally let out a sigh of relief. A red cloud python in the 6th change of the fish dragon realm was indeed terrifyingly powerful. If he had met it at its prime, he probably would not have been able to block even one of its claws. Jiang Yuochen sat cross-legged on the huge reptile and activated the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean to begin recovering the large amounts of genuine chi he had burned through. Suddenly, a strange voice rang out from inside the dragon's body. Crash! A giant square hammer rose out of the creature's mouth and shot an eye-piercing bolt of lightning at Jiang Yuochen's head. Danger! Without even thinking, he immediately executed Space Domain and demonstrated the power space warps. A small shift happened to the direction of the lightning. It stopped in front of Jiang Yuochen's forehead and dropped into the water. The ocean made a crackling sound as it electrified out to 300 meters in every direction. The seawater began to boil and fist-sized bubbles popped up. It is already dead, yet it can still use a holy weapon Warhammer. Jiang Yuochen immediately rose and executed a body movement to retreat far away. He did not dare to come within the range of the Flood Dragon's Warhammer. Then, He opened his sky eye and looked at the reptile's body to finally understand what was happening. The beast soul of the flood dragon was operating the Warhammer. Although the creature had died, its cultivation was very powerful, so its beast soul had not immediately disappeared. Earlier, its neck had been chained and it was unable to spit up the Warhammer from its abdomen. It was not until after death that it could use its beast soul to operate the Warhammer to attack Jiang Yuochen. After understanding what was happening, Jiang Yuochen actually relaxed and smiled. The beast soul of a red cloud python should be a pretty good treasure. Having said this, his martial soul flew out of his body and charged into the flood dragon's body. A moment later, Jiang Yuochen's martial soul captured a 100-meter-long beast soul, then flew back and re-entered his body. Blackie's voice rang out of the yin-yang wooden graph. Jiang Yuochen, give that beast soul to me. Jiang Yuochen furrowed his brows and asked, what do you need it for? I am going to refine a flood dragon soul pill and give it to that person with the half-dragon body. Although it will not immediately make her cultivation that of a genuine dragon body, it could help her to complete her training in a short amount of time and reach the third change in the fish dragon realm. As long as her cultivation reaches the third change, it will be enough to be a match against the masters in the black market. She could become a great help in helping you achieve revenge. Jiang Yuochen was confused, so he asked, the third change of the fish dragon realm? Her practice has been so fast. Blackie smiled. With the help of the flood dragon soul pill, I am confident that I can have her break into the third change within 2 years. 2 years in the scroll world is only 2 months in the external world. Is 2 months very long? Jiang Yuochen nodded and said in a low voice, all right. I can give the spirit of the dragon to you. I can even give you more. However, you must have her reach the third change within 2 months. No problem, Blackie said. After handing the spirit of the dragon to Blackie, Jiang Yuochen's gaze focused on the warhammer above the body of the giant python. The corners of his lips curved slightly and he said, it's probably a holy weapon. Abyss, I'll let you have it. Swoosh. The ancient abyss sword flew out of its sheath toward the warhammer with the intention of refining it. The warhammer was an 100 inscription weapon and it also contained vessel spirit. It sensed the abyss ancient sword's intentions, and it immediately counter-attacked. Bang! The two holy weapons began to battle in the air. In an hour, Jiang Yuochen had managed to collect the giant dragon's scales, blood, and dragon pearl. At that moment, the ancient abyss sword was refining the warhammer. Lightning flashed across the blade of the sword, and it flew back with a 12-meter-long lightning tail behind it. Jiang Yuochen stood on the surface of the ocean, holding the ancient abyss sword, with his eyes focused on the roiling surface of the water. Let's go. Let's keep collecting military merits. 2 months passed very quickly. Jiang Yuochen was active in the center area of the Xixuan Sea. He was like a ghost killer, massacring the indigenous savage beasts in the water. Among them, he killed 47 red cloud pythons. Other than that, he also killed 28 5th-level savage beasts, including silver belly sharks, millennial black golden tortoises, and more. As for 4th-level savage beasts, they were beyond counting. In merely 2 months, he had collected 9 million military merits. This one statistic shocked the entirety of Myriad Chaos Mountain. Tens of thousands of warriors were gathered below the stone tablets of the heaven board. They watched as the military merits behind the name Jiang Yuochen at the very top of the table broke through 20 million, approaching closer and closer to the ultimate realm of the heaven realm.